Who is the next Travis Kelce? Is it a player already in the NFL? Or is it an incoming rookie that's going to develop into the next Travis Kelce? I'm going to tell you right now, the next Travis Kelce is quite possibly Kyle Pitts, the incoming rookie tight end that's going to blow everybody away. I'm going to break it all down right now. The Fantasy Football Show begins now.
This is the Fantasy Football Show with your host, Smitty.
Top 5 running back. You're watching the Fantasy Football Show. I'm Smitty. Take a lap. Let's kick this off in a different way. Let's break down the top 5 tight ends heading into 2021 and beyond and slow things down. Computer studio off. Let's get in the mood and do some top 5 tight end rankings. The number 1 tight end in fantasy football is Travis Kelce. Whether we're talking redraft, dynasty, doesn't matter. In fact, if you told me that Kelce was going to retire for sure after 2 years, so he'd play 2021, 2022, he would still be my number 1 ranked tight end in dynasty because 2 years is a long time. Too many people play for 3, 4, 5, 6 years down the road. I want a guy that's 24 years old, not 26. The other aspect about Kelce that he brings to the table is that his offense is so potent, he will always get targets. Defenses cannot focus on Tyreek Hill, Mahomes, the running game. He'll always find opportunity, something you can't say for all the other tight ends, and that's what makes Kelce so protected into production. Pretty much every single game, he's so consistent, that won't change. And he's my number 1 tight end across the board, dynasty redraft. My number 2 ranked tight end, dynasty and redraft, it's the same player, Darren Waller. He's not a young spring chicken. He's actually an older player, surprisingly. But Darren Waller still has a grip of years left. I'd say at least 3 or 4. And again, that's a long time. He doesn't quite have the longevity at the quarterback position built into his value like Mahomes and Kelce. But I still feel very confident that Waller for the next 2 or 3 years will get fed a ton of work and be a 1,000-yard 8 to 10 TD guy. I could almost put a tier break under Kelce because he's just that much better or more safe than the rest of these guys. But the big tier break happens below the top 3. So small tier break at 1. But then you got to put Kittle here at number 3. Now, Kittle concerns me a lot because he's such an aggressive player with his body. He tries to get every inch. And while we love that, it puts him at huge risk for finishing full seasons. I myself worry that this could be that Odell Beckham Jr. type of situation where the talent is through the roof. There's no denying Kittle has that top 1 to 2 overall talent at his position, but Waller's just going to be safer. Kelce's safer. Kittle is probably going to miss games, so I worry enough to say he's 3/4 for me. And if he has another injury-riddled season, we're going to move him down a bit. But who's number 4? Who's number 5? Number 4 for me is the guy that I predicted to be a breakout in 2020, and that's TJ Hockenson. Hockenson is a beast. I love TJ Hockenson. I challenge you to find anybody that was higher on both Waller and Hockenson heading into 2020. They were both on my bold predictions board, and I only put 12 to 13 names on that board every year. Both of these guys were on there, Hockenson and Waller. Hockenson has the potential to climb even higher than this, but I think because of his situation, we don't know what the quarterback position is going to look like for him for the next couple years. Because he still hasn't quite got to the Waller level yet. He's on his way there. I think it's pretty easy to rank him at 4 and feel safe about it, knowing that he has the upside to go higher. He could climb above Kittle in time. I really truly believe that because Kittle's so injury prone and I worry about him. But Hockenson, don't underrate Hockenson. Don't think he can't be as good as Waller and Kittle. He can be this good by 2021, 2022, but it's so safe to rank him here. Number 5, who's my number 5? I'll tell you, it's the same guy in Dynasty and Redraft, and it's going to shock a lot of people. You heard me mention his name already, Kyle Pitts, the rookie. This kid is going to be insane. He has the most potential to become the next Travis Kelce or Darren Waller. He doesn't just have the Hockenson upside. I think Hawk has the potential to creep up into the the 2 spot, whereas Pitts could creep up and be the number 1 player in fantasy football at the tight end position in just a very short period of time. Landing spot will, of course, determine how fast that happens. If it happens, landing spot is very vital. The Florida Gator is 6'6", 246. In 2020, he had 43 receptions for 770 and 12 TDs. In 2019, 54, 649 and 5 TDs. What I love about Kyle Pitts is that he's a new breed of tight end that I think we'll start seeing emerge in the NFL. There's cycles. I talk about them all the time. Cycles at the running back position. The running back's dead. No, it's not. Before Zeke Elliott, people told me the running back would never return to the full-time workhorse usage type back. It's all a cycle. Elliott, Barkley, McCaffrey, the running back reemerge. Everything is a cycle. New cycles emerge. The new cycle I see developing is this new type of tight end that is not a tight end. It used to be okay. The big basketball player type tight end gets in there and he just jumps up. He's like 240 pounds, big, tall guy.
Antonio Gates.
Athletic, but still running and moving around like a tight end. But because he can dominate the space around him like Antonio Gates, he's going to pull in 10 TDs and 900 yards. The new cycle, the new tight end, is essentially a wide receiver. Built kind of like Terrell Owens and A.J. Brown. That's what we're looking at in Kyle Pitts. He's a converted wide receiver playing the tight end position, but he's big enough to do it. He's just a more athletic version of an Antonio Gates, stretched out, longer, leaner, faster, quicker. Antonio Gates was 6'4", 255, so Gates was a little bit heavier, 10 pounds or so, but Kyle Pitts is 2 inches taller. Why not have a wide receiver at the tight end position when the player can be as big and strong as a tight end? Now, why hasn't this happened before? People are getting more athletic. People are starting younger, and when you take a position that was predominantly just a big dude, guy that could block, and you evolve it differently from a small age, the position will eventually become something different. We're looking at it right now in Kyle Pitts. He's now a wide receiver in a tight end body.
I am excited.
He could definitely change the game at the tight end position. He could be a totally different breed. Let's review the speed of a wide receiver, the size and strength of an A.J. Brown or a Terrell Owens type player. That kind of build and frame. Good hands, good speed, great leaping ability, good route runner, complete mismatch probably every time he's on the field because he is a big, not a decent sized wide receiver. He's a 6'6", 246 pound wide receiver. He'd be one of the bigger wide receivers in the NFL right away if you shoved him into the wide receiver room. A mismatch for linebackers and essentially a lock for, if he is the real deal, and I believe he is, a lock for that 1,000-yard, 10 TD type of role. He needs to improve in the blocking department. That would be like the one negative. That can be learned. He's a lock to go in the top, 10 to 12 on draft day. And while situation will definitely dictate how quickly he evolves, will adjust and adapt if he falls into a bad spot, I'm pretty confident that a team taking him will need him desperately. A team taking him is set up to have him succeed because they're spending a top 12 overall pick on him. If he landed in Cincy with Joe Burrow, that would be phenomenal. I think they probably take Jamar Chase. I hope they take Jamar Chase, but I would love for Pitts to land in Cincy to play with Burrow. What if he landed with the Chargers at pick 13 and caught passes from Justin Herbert for the next decade? Anything can happen, but for right now, I'm excited about Kyle Pitts, and he is my number 5 overall ranked tight end in both redraft and dynasty. Get some. Tell your grandma, tell your friends, tell everybody about the show, and get on over to Smitty1.com, which contains all of my links, my most recent YouTube show, my SleeperU.com link, where you can find all my news. Get your news from me at SleeperU.com, my HeySmitty.com, all the advice-based products that I have, all of it can be found at Smitty1.com. Get some.
This is the Fantasy Football Show with your host, Smitty.
Top 5 running back. You're watching the Fantasy Football Show. I'm Smitty.